High temperatures in Italy. Fires devastate the south of Peninsula. No more COVID bulletins, Professor Zangrillo says. Enough to fear. Euthanasia referendum. Now you can also sign online. Welcome to the newscast of Italy today. Italy is facing a wave of high temperatures. A record due, according to experts, to global warming.
In Italy, unprecedented wave of heat, with temperatures that steadily exceed 40 degrees Celsius. Cities with red alert increase day by day, while the islands and Calabria register the intensification of fires. A situation that is destined to worsen in the coming days, with a peak expected for Friday. Meanwhile, in Syracuse, on Wednesday the temperature reached 48.8 degrees, a figure which, if validated in the next few days, represents the new European heat record, 0.3 of a degree higher than the previous one in Catania, in province of Enna, established in 1999. According to the latest heatwave bulletin updated by the Ministry of Health, the highest red alert level, on Thursday 12th of August, will concern 10 cities: Bari, Bologna, Campobasso, Frosinone, Latina, Palermo, Perugia, Rieti, Rome, and Trieste, and the day after tomorrow, Friday 13, even 15, with also Bolzano, Brescia, Cagliari, Florence, and Viterbo. In the last decade there have been several years characterized by extreme temperatures and droughts, and the study of the climate suggests that these phenomena will be increasingly frequent and intense due to climate change. The extreme events that occur in the Mediterranean and in Italy are largely due to the global warming and the emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This has produced important changes in our latitudes, especially in the circulation of air. The equatorial tropical circulation has expanded northwards, so the African anticyclones, which previously settled on the Sahara Desert, can now enter the Mediterranean. Until a few decades ago, the Mediterranean summers were dominated by the famous Azores anticyclone which, coming from the Atlantic and insinuating itself into the Mediterranean, acted as a stable air cushion, protecting Italy from perturbations coming from northern Europe and from the fierce African heat. According to the expert, the Mediterranean climate has become extreme, leading Italy to be hit alternately by anticyclones from the south and violent disturbances from the north. With regard to extreme events of both heat and precipitation, the climatic component is only one of the components of the equation that explains climate risk. Effects of the heat wave also on fruit gathering and prices. The Italian production of summer fruit has been severely compromised, with damages estimated overall close to €1 billion. Animals in homes and farms also suffer from the heat. The cows are producing up to about 10% less milk than in normal periods due to the high temperatures. The widespread fires have burned the pastures and the fodder necessary for feeding the livestock, as well as having burned the fruit and vegetables, impoverished the vineyards, made the olives fall and citrus from the trees. Suffering from high temperatures, from vegetables to fruit, from corn to soybeans, from sunflowers to canned tomatoes. According to an estimate drawn up exclusively for La Pressa, between 20 and 24 million wild animals have died due to fires.
After Sardinia, Sicily and Abruzzo, Calabria has also been brought to its knees by fires for days. At the moment there are 4 confirmed victims in the region. The fires have continued to hit the whole region relentlessly for days, and in particular the Espremont. It is no better in Sicily. The flames have hit the territories around Ragusa, Syracuse and Enna. Civil Protection has launched the red alert for all the provinces except Messina. Sardinia is also burning, with more than 40 fires throughout the region.
In Calabria, kilometers and kilometers of greenery continued to burn. Even the centuries-old beach trees of the Espremont National Park, a UNESCO heritage site, are threatened. There is also fear for the sanctuary of Polsi. In recent days, we asked the prefecture to be able to deploy the use of army. It has been obtained the declaration of the state of calamity for the compensation of the damages. If necessary, it will access the reserve fund of the metropolitan city to support those who lost everything in the fire. The priority today is to extinguish this hell. But from tomorrow someone will have to explain why prevention was completely lacking, because if the resources were available, the air and ground vehicles were not purchased in time. The situation is out of control, everything is burning. The government is asked immediately to declare a state of national emergency. The latest findings from the fire brigade, Calabria Verde and Civil Protection have identified about 20 emergencies. For this, the intervention of volunteers from outside the region was necessary. 5 teams have reached the civil protection offices of the Calabrian provincial capitals. Numbers in hand from July 1 to today have been over 4,500 interventions carried out in Calabria for forest and vegetation fires alone, which in many cases have come to touch homes and structures of all kinds. In Sicily, a vast fire hit the territory of Giarratana, in the province of Ragusa. The flames have broken out in the Californo district, and are rapidly spreading pushed by the hot wind. Some houses have been evacuated. On the spot, teams of the Forestry Corps of the region, the firemen and the civil protection. The mayor of Giarratana Bartolo Giaquinta also activated the volunteers of the Alpha Group and asked for the intervention of air vehicles. A 30-year-old farmer died in Paterno, crushed by his tractor in an attempt to put out a fire on a farm in the Ponte Barca area. He was carrying a barrel full of water on his tractor which. The Syracusan also burns, in particular Sortino and the woods outside Ferla, and in Pergusa, in the Anise area, where flames threaten homes and some holiday homes have been evacuated as a precaution. In action a helicopter and ground teams of firefighters, forestry and civil protection. The regional civil protection has issued a bulletin with the highest level alert for all the provinces, except that of Messina, in orange. In Sardinia, fire hits the countryside of Mondas. The flames also affected a sheepfold, but many animals were rescued. This is what happened due to a fire that broke out in the afternoon of 11th of August, in the localities of Sosaraxia and Siziledu. The emergency response teams are working on the spot to limit the flames, with vehicles to protect the structures threatened by fire. During 11th of August, 44 fires were recorded on the island, 6 of which required the intervention of the air vehicles of the regional and national fleet. In Oniferi and Ertsana the reclamation operations ended in the late afternoon. In some cases, the flames have come close to inhabited centers.
Professor Zangrillo lashes out against the alarmism of the mass media and asks to stop the publication of health bulletins on COVID.
I find the daily bulletins with data on infections useless and harmful. By chasing the numbers and fantasies of pseudoscientists, we lose sight of the fundamental foundations of humanity. Thus, in an interview with Corriere della Sera, Alberto Zangrillo, director of the Anesthesia and Intensive Care Department of the San Raffaele Hospital in Milan, firmly opposed to the campaign of terror that he considers devastating. The time has come, today more than ever, to take care of other patients, oncologists, heart patients, those with neurological diseases and chronic pathologies. They are forgotten sick people, affirms Zangrillo, with situations that are worsening and that risk worsening in an irreparable way. Zangrillo therefore proposes a government control room which, while respecting the autonomy of the regions, sets goals and puts resources to return to following those who are really sick. On the agenda, then, we must return to putting the theme of prevention which in the short term leads to spending, but which in the long run saves the health service and gives quality of life. The risk, he adds, is to end up in the shallows to chase only COVID patients. The return to reality in September will propose something else, namely the exacerbation of chronic diseases. At the San Raffaele Emergency Room, explains Zangrillo, a greater number of positives are appearing which, however, in most cases can be immediately sent home. The hospitalizations concern those who have not been vaccinated. And to tackle the COVID problem, according to Zangrillo, it is necessary, first of all, to make it clear that those who get vaccinated are protected from serious illness and from the risk of death. And to make it understood, I return to the starting point, we must stop communicating the number of infections that alone do not say anything. On the skeptics of the vaccine, he then says, as also written by Nature, almost 20% of the population will not be vaccinated. And on this there is little to do. There is a hard core of skeptics that is difficult to scratch.
From today it will be possible to sign for the referendum on euthanasia also online. The Parliament has in fact approved the amendment that allows the collection of signatures on the web.
From today it is possible to sign the referendum for legal euthanasia also online, and not only at the gazebos. The historical novelty concerns all the referendums and popular initiative laws, a victory obtained by the Luca Cosciani Association and Mario Staderini, former secretary of the Radicals, after a 2-year political judicial battle. The turning point came with an amendment approved in recent days unanimously by the Constitutional Affairs and Environment Commissions. From now on, the collection of signatures can also be done online via digital identity and electronic identity card. The campaign for the referendum for legal euthanasia started at the beginning of June, and has already collected almost 400,000 signatures. 100,000 are missing for the goal to be achieved by the end of September. In 2019, expressing itself on the Stederini de Lucia case, the United Nations condemned the Italian Republic for violations of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, due to the obstacles to the collection of signatures on the instruments of direct democracy. The appeals imposed Italy to remove the obstacles to the collection of signatures provided for by law of 1970, a measure that dates back before the era of the web. In recent months, the co-president of the Leukocyani Association, Marco Gentili, a political activist suffering from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, has been exposed in the first person, who sent a letter to Minister Colau signed by over 3,000 citizens, and organized sit-ins under the ministry to ask to unblock the situation. In Parliament, it was the Deputy Riccardo Magi who found the unanimous vote of his colleagues to pass the amendment. Specifically, the adopted amendment provides for a transitional rule for which the promoting committees can collect signatures for referendums and popular initiatives with a platform prepared by a certifying body affiliated with the Agency for Digital Italy. Stederini rejoices for what is a historic reform, a victory for those who believe that democracy is for everyone. Interviewed by La Stampa, today Peppino Inglaro, father of Iluana who remained in a vegetative state for 17 years, also spoke. Thanks to the strength of Iluana, today the public opinion is informed, and the promoters of the referendum will not find themselves in front of the desert we have faced.
That's it for today. Thanks for joining us. We invite you to subscribe to the Facebook page and follow us again.